All right, we are live, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Lake County. I'm your host, David Rich. I'm donning the Gothic Santa hat today because I'm in the mood and in the seasonal spirit. We have a roundtable discussion. I'm very happy about this, and hope we'll have more with other local politicians as well. We have three Lake County elected officials on tonight. We have Jennifer Banek, who is the Lake County Coroner. We have Esiah Campos, who's on the Lake County Board, and we have Anthony Vega, who is the Lake County Clerk. Welcome, one and all. How are you?
Doing well.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this. This is exciting. I'm happy to have this. Like, I get a multitude of people on the screen on the show to talk about things from the same sort of vantage point, and I kind of want to isolate it. I want to keep the partisanship separate. I'm hoping actually to do the same thing with the local Republicans, and we'll see if that happens. But right now we have the Democrats. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on in Lake County and nationwide. And I know we're going to get into more specifics about your respective roles in the county, but let's start with a little more general stuff like ICE. And I think probably one of you has a little more of a direct connection with that. And I mean, Esiah, just because of your position as Lake County Board. So let's start with you. What was your experience with that whole thing, and what do you think about it? What's going on now?
Yeah, ever since the start of it, even before, it was terrible. I know when they were thinking, when they were talking about using the Great Naval Station Great Lakes as a place to house these agents, and then the Supreme Court decision had then came through. I remember letting everybody know on the county board days after the ruling, this is legalized racism. They will use this to indiscriminately target people, and people are going to get hurt. Innocent people are going to get hurt, and this is going to be a slippery slope to just target anybody. And that's exactly what we've seen. That's exactly what we've seen when they came to Lake County. People who, whether they had warrants or not, whether they had criminal records or not, right? They want to say that we're only going after the criminals. They're not. They're going after brown people. And that's exactly what we've seen. All the work that we do with Mano a Mano on and off the board, me being with Dulce and riding around and witnessing a U.S. citizen with her passport in the car, abducted, kidnapped, that's the more appropriate word, kidnapped. They grabbed her passport and threw it back in the car. They didn't care. So it was just indiscriminately just targeting brown people. Now, in response to that, the municipalities such as North Chicago, Waukegan, and then us on the board, we're passing resolutions, not allowing them on our property. What we've seen in Waukegan, Sam Cunningham telling the uniformed officers that even if you're ununiformed, everybody's wearing the uniform, so we can distinct between your local police and this terrorizing force that was in Lake County. So those types of responses is what we had to do, and then we had to think outside the box. So I can just speak for myself in my district alone. I went to each business and I said, hey, we got to develop a plan. We need to get on a group chat. We need to talk about what happens when they come to Round Lake. And they eventually did come to Round Lake. And thank God I was in, it wasn't just me, but there was many other people that were, I couldn't do this by myself. But we organized a group, and we didn't publicize it, but we had an action plan for the district, for at least District 16. But we've seen that replicate throughout Lake County. People were just standing up and finding any bit way that they could help in all corners of the county. And I'm sure Anthony Vega and Jennifer Banek as well had a hand in that as well, but we don't publicize it. Because
can you talk about what your plan was?
If they come back, if they come back, we would like to, still have that plan in place.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, cool. And Jennifer, I guess I was just thinking about this. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Anthony.
No, I'll just say quickly, one of the things that the countywide elected officials did, we actually convened together. Now we have our own little respective area that we do, right? I love Jennifer. I don't get to work with her on a day-to-day basis just because our offices are, have very distinct responsibilities.
Yeah.
But we were able to, all the countywides were able to come together to start discussing, hey, how can we support our staff? Because our our county staff is also very diverse.
You betcha.
When Esiah was with the mayor of Waukegan and Dulce Ortiz from Mano a Mano, when that U.S. citizen was being taken, I had staff that were simply walking around the county building. It was their lunch hour, and so we talked about how to best directly support our staff, but also directly support the people that come into our offices for services, because the reality is ICE could walk into the county building, that there's nothing necessarily prohibiting them of them taking any enforcement action. The county board did pass a resolution to ban them from using county property for staging or so I believe processing. I think that was the word that was in there, and Zach can correct me if I'm wrong, but they could come into the building and just start taking people. And so what does that look like, and how can our staff respond when in the middle of that chaos? And so I would just wanted to add that, because I think that was also really important that was done, because ultimately, again, our staff is at the county level is very diverse, from the health department to the sheriff's office to all these different offices. And what's happening in our communities is not immune just because they're a county employee working. And so that's also another big distinction that I think is also important.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Thanks for sharing that. And Jennifer, I thought about this a few minutes ago. Like, I mean, I don't know how this like kind of trickles down into other areas, but like you're the only person in Lake County that can actually arrest the sheriff, right? So you have like a law enforcement type duty to your position. I don't know if it extends beyond the sheriff, but is there any sort of like legal and law enforcement aspects implicated in your that go to your office directly concerning ICE?
Well, one of the things that had concerned me was, there was a person in Cook County, and as just to remind everybody, jurisdiction is determined on where somebody passes away. And there was somebody that was involved, I believe, in an ICE detention in Cook County that was killed. And so one of my concerns was I wasn't feeling very reassured regarding transparency and accountability, quite frankly, with these federal agents. And so my concern was that should, God forbid, somebody pass away when they were detained by an ICE agent, if they were in Lake County, that should be a coroner's investigation. And of course, transparency and accountability would be very important. So I would have some significant concerns about the truth regarding the circumstances if the coroner was not able to investigate that death. And so that was one of the things, thankfully, thus far that, we haven't had something like that happen, an incident like that happen, but I did reach out to the medical examiner in Cook County just to ask her how that particular case was handled, because of course we want to be, we wanted to have everything in place so that we could make sure that things were taken care of in a transparent way. So that was kind of what it was on my mind. Of course, that was specific to the coroner. Of course, all of the other things that Member Campos and Clerk Vega mentioned, I had spent some time with the Center for Immigrant Progress. I think a figure that was staggering to me, that was really surprising. I love our community and the diversity that we have. There's 45,000 as probably a low approximation, 45,000 folks who, are in some capacity, some spectrum of the process of becoming documented, but are undocumented. And so it really required an all hands on deck from many different organizations. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I could just add regarding before we move on to the next topic, because I just regarding the courthouses, I know our representatives and our senators are not on with us, but there has been a response to ICE being in Illinois. There has been a response from up and down the government. There was in the Lake County Board, we had all written a letter to our Chief Justice asking to put a administrative order that not allow ICE in courthouses, right? And then our state's representatives and our state senators actually passed a law to do exactly just that, to protect our courthouses. So I just want to make sure that everybody gets the recognition that they deserve, because this was a up and down. I mean, all of us were all on the phone almost every day, and it was literally an all hands on deck, exactly what Jennifer just said.
Yeah. And I mean, I've heard this, and I haven't actually looked into it to verify or not. But isn't being merely an illegal immigrant, an undocumented person in this country merely a civil problem and not a criminal one? Is that true?
It is.
So the way they're going about it is like completely legally unwarranted in the first place. Like, you don't arrest people. I mean, I guess this maybe in some cases over a mere civil infraction.
Correct. And there's an actual there's a process. There's a civil process that if somebody overstays their visa, there's a specific process that they go through, but they are not shackled. They are not thrown into a car. The Trump administration has taken the definition of we're going after criminals. Well, since you overstayed your welcome, you are now a criminal. So they've expanded that definition to
arbitrarily. They have
arbitrarily to include everybody, so that they can operate within the law.
Right. Well,
so you don't pay for parking in downtown Waukegan or
no, they don't come.
Right?
A SWAT team doesn't invade your house, right? Come after you at your workplace or whatever. It's the optics are definitely horrifying. The legalities of it are just being utterly ignored, circumvented. And obviously, morally, it's just absolutely reprehensible. That's easy.
And coupled with the Supreme Court decision, and you put that increasing of that definition, this is exactly what we got.
So why aren't? Well, I guess if the Supreme Court said it, then the other courts have to abide by it. But you're wondering why? Like, I'll tell you. I when I was sending my friends links about tonight's show, one responded. He wanted me to ask you, or at least bring it up and give your opinion on it. Some people think that political talk is just not enough. Like going through the legal process of stopping ICE or deterring them or creating at least even a subtle obstacle simply isn't enough. That more needs to be done. And I don't want to say it explicitly, but it means some sort of physical force needs to be taken against ICE officers. And one guy asked me this actually a while ago. It's like, why isn't Pritzker just it's his National Guard and he has people too. Why doesn't he just stop them from doing it, or have local police stop the National Guard or ICE agents at least from doing what they're doing? Is that a thing? Is that a possibility, or is that too anarchistic?
So that feeling is understandable.
Yes.
When we see people that are treated the way that they are, and our civil liberties are under attack, and our very way of life is under attack, that response is understandable. However, if you do that, or if Pritzker were to do that, I don't want to speak for him. They're his National Guard as of right now, but then Trump would nationalize them as federal troops. And if there's violence against federal agents, which we up and down, as elected officials up and down, we do not want any violence in the street, whether it be criminal or whether it be against a federal officer or any officer, local, federal, state. That's exactly the roadmap that Trump wants us to go down, so that he can implement authoritarian measures to quell the violence. That is why you see the ICE agents acting the way that they are, very brutal, where they want us to respond with violence. But what they've seen every single time that they've gone and they've put National Guard troops in LA, or ICE agents in all around the country, people are responding non-violently. They are going to protests such as No Kings. They are helping their neighbors with groceries, picking up groceries, picking up children from schools. We are responding in a much kinder way that is much more effective, and it does not allow us to slip into that dystopian society that Trump wants us to go down.
No, those are very good points, and I understand. And I think the people that ask me those questions or in those conversations would probably agree with you, even if reluctantly, that it's just adding fuel to the fire if you do stuff like that. But I know one guy said, well, like, aren't cops allowed to arrest other law enforcers if they had other law enforcers breaking the law? Yes, no.
Restate the question.
Is a cop, let's say a local cop, a Mundelein cop, a Lake County sheriff deputy, are they allowed to arrest other officers regardless of their federal, state, local status if that officer is breaking the law?
It would be a nice time to have the state's attorney on here. I'm not privy to that.
I mean, I honestly don't know.
You would think the natural inclination would be, yes, they're breaking the law, right? But I'm not sure.
I'm a cop. I arrest people who break the law.
Yeah, but,
that kind of thing.
Federal agents supersede local. Now, as far as I do not. I'm going to go on a limb here. The state's attorney's not here, but I would say no, unless it's a very egregious, clearly breaking the law, gun to a child's head type egregious, like very clearly. I believe no.
Go ahead, Jen. Go ahead.
I would also add that, many of the agencies that we've talked about, Mano Mano, ASIS, the Center for Immigrant Progress, in addition to dealing with the detentions on site when they were happening, distributing whistles, distributing food, trying to take care of the immediate situation, I think a lot of these organizations, we really need to think of this in terms of the long game. And so while I know that we want accountability, part of the plan, though, was also to document this information. And so that was many of these organizations were encouraging people to simply document, but document with the idea that it's going to be retained for the long term. You may have heard that Governor Pritzker has initiated a program called the Illinois Accountability Committee, I believe it's called. But I could see that these recordings would be something that would be used by that committee. As I mentioned, I think we need to look at it from the perspective of the long game. So.
No, that's a good point too. You're right. I mean, Esiah, you had that kind of PSA moment where you talked about how these are our main weapon against ICE. Document it all as much as you can, because eventually a lot of these instances are going to go to courts, to go to trial.
Correct.
And I will say that, look, we have a bright spot. I know that the law in the way things go through the courts is very long, but the district court in Chicago has been the court that really started holding, the federal government's feet to the fire. So things are working, and the judge, I believe it was Judge Ellis, relied on all of the video footage of individuals to say, hey, the federal government's narrative is wrong. It's factually wrong. That's not what's happening. They're not being, I think Bovino was said, if somebody threw a brick at me, that's why I responded the way I did. It's like, no, that never happened. And that's where we're seeing, where I started to see a shift in the way the courts were addressing these issues, was that now we have the videos. People are being trained on how to, properly take videos, right? Not taking, you hear the voices when people are recording, hey, don't take the bait, because the agents are trying to bait people into an adverse reaction that will justify their reaction. And so that has been the bright spot, I think, in terms of the court system, has been the district court in out of Chicago, that they are holding the government's feet to the fire.
Well, that's good to know. It's good to know that some sort of action has been taken. I mean, I prefer to go through like a civil legal process than, fisticuffs. That I don't prefer. I'm not absolutely morally opposed to violence, but I definitely don't prefer it. That's good to know that things are happening, and we'll see what happens. And now that weirdo Bovino is gone, God, what a weird dude. Looks like things have calmed down a lot.
Well, it's always calmest before the storm. I don't want to say that, it's all over with and we're all out in the clear. You always have to be ready. They are out of Naval Station Great Lakes. but they can move to Milwaukee. Milwaukee's not that far from us. So I don't believe that we're out of the clear yet. I think the tyrant is still in power, and so long as the tyrant is still in power, we will forever have these instances and these crackdowns, and they're just going to get worse the more that he tries to cling on to power.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting 2026 with the midterm elections. Did you hear about the federal judge who's put a block on the gerrymandering in Texas? Did you hear about that? Yeah, no. He said you can't do that, or maybe she, I don't know who. So unless that gets overturned by the Supreme Court, they're not going to be able to change the districting lines in Texas, which means that there's a good chance that they're going to lose a lot of seats next year. And then, we'll see what happens if the Democrats take over the House and the Senate next year, or at least the House. That's not going to be good for him, man. Like him and his entire regime, they're all going to jail. But anyway, okay, enough about ICE. Tariffs. Any effects that you're seeing in your districts or your general jurisdictions? I don't know, Jennifer, I don't know how much you would see of that at being a coroner. Anthony, I don't even know if you might see it. I don't know you with exactly all that happens in the clerk's office. But Esiah, you're there with a constituency of people in your district. Are you seeing anything with the tariffs having a negative or maybe a positive effect for that matter?
If there was a positive effect, I'm not sure. I talk to that individual. I would like to talk to that individual and see what they're talking about. But no, when you go to the store, just take note. Look at Thanksgiving. Look at how much it's going to cost you for Thanksgiving. Look at how much clothes have gone up. There's going to be Christmas coming up, and look at how much it's going to cost. There's more people. The food pantries are seeing more people than they've ever seen. Our toy drives. We're expecting more people than we've ever seen. I'm not sure there is any positive to the tariffs. There's no long-term gain. Like there's no clear goal on what this administration is doing other than trying to wreak havoc and expand authoritarian power, executive power, through these precedences of him doing whatever it is he wants, which taking the power away from the Congress, the power of the purse away from Congress through tariffs. That's the power of the purse. No, but if I could switch gears, so as far as tariffs affecting my district, absolutely, it's affecting everything that we eat, everything that we've consumed, either goes through a port of entry or goes through a plane. It gets here somehow, whether through China, Vietnam, Thailand, Mexico, Canada, wherever we import, it's affecting. So yes, obviously, things are up. Now, I just came back from a pension conference because I'm also a pension analyst for the Teamster Union. The tariffs have had a amazing effect on 401ks, and I say amazing as in the adverse trend.
Bad amazing.
Bad amazing. Like we haven't seen a shock to the market as far as like 401ks long term. The actuaries don't know how to calculate people's benefits going out. We're able to go out 50 years, right? The actuaries are able to go out 50 years, and this is what the benefit's going to be, and this is how much premium, this is how much contributions we need, and this is how much we're going to see. We haven't seen a shock since 2020, and we haven't seen a shock like this since 2008. This is an artificial shock to the economy, and we're going to when that man is out of power, we will still feel the ripples effects of these ill thought out financial policies. And that's even being kind to call them financial policies. But no, to answer your question directly, yes, it's definitely affecting my district, and the long term as well. People's 401ks, pensions, defined contribution plans. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is pretty bad, and I think you're right. What they claim is that the idea of the tariffs is to get manufacturing back to America. If you just put these massive fiscal burdens on them over in other countries, they just will magically come back here and like everything will be fine. That doesn't seem to be effective, and that doesn't seem to be to effectuate his goal. You know, I know tariffs have been used before infrequently. Like, I guess I don't know the logic of it, but like here and there, or sporadically, and again infrequently, they have some sort of benefit or advantage. I don't know, but to use it as some sort of blanketed policy on like all things is just absolutely atrocious.
Well, if you want, if I may step out of my elected position here and like
Sure.
just talk about foreign policy and like just what I know regarding foreign policy. If you look since 2016, so these tariffs are blanketed saying that it's going to protect America. We need to bring back manufacturing. We need to do all this, right? That's all the bravado, right? China has systematically prepared for this since the first Trump administration. They knew this was coming. And how do we know this? We know this because of soybeans. So China has been diversifying where they're getting their soybeans for the last 10 years. They knew this was coming. And the reason why is they did not want to be beholden by buying American soybeans, right? There was somewhere around 60% of soybeans, and I'm most likely getting the figure wrong, but there's some astronomical number of Chinese imports from American companies, farmers, for soybeans. And then they just started diversifying around the world because they knew that this was coming. You don't go from a major buyer of soybeans to then diversifying if you don't feel like something's coming. So this notion that he's going to slap 50% tariff on China, 20% tariff on this, that, and that it's actually hurting them. They've shown that they don't need America, and it actually pushes other countries away from wanting to rely on our economy, which again hurts us in the long run.
Absolutely. And a multitude of other areas too, like the whole like attack or the war on the universities and the science labs and so on and so forth. America is top, or at least close to the top countries in the world with like scientific research and innovation, and to do that just destroys our status in globally. I mean, for making America great again, he's doing everything he can to make it like weak and pathetic again. Because we're going to become second, third, fourth, fifth place in a lot of these economic and academic areas. So you haven't seen anything, Jen or Anthony, like your office supplies prices went up, embalming fluid or something. I don't know. Nothing like that was directly affected your office because of the tariffs.
Yeah, no.
What a morbid joke, David.
What's that? A morbid joke? I'm wearing a black
sandals. Look, we work with a variety of different vendors, and to Esiah's point about manufacturing, I think it was actually even you, David, brought it up. Our infrastructure is not there to take on the manufacturing that we import, and even working on with some of my vendors, we're seeing increase in pricing. I'm working with facilities on a capital project. We think it's going to be X amount, or rather, we thought it was going to be X amount. This is actually a joint project with the coroner and the sheriff. If things don't settle down, it's going to be a much larger expensive because building materials we import a large portion of those. And so what does that mean from a local county government perspective in terms of planning? And we went to the county board, or there's this X amount of dollars. We may go back once we have an extra plan, once we have real dollars, and say, hey, remember Campos and the rest of the board, remember that project that we said it was going to be X amount? It's now going to be X amount, right? And so it puts us in a bind in terms of properly planning. It's this very it's this roller coaster ride of different I think, as I mentioned, shocks to the system that we're just going to have to navigate, and I don't see that settling down anytime soon.
And exactly what Clerk Vega mentioned on the horizon, we're looking at having some new space for the coroner and the sheriff, and so these are projects that are in the millions of dollars. I guess what I will say that we've been watching very closely is, like the death investigations that happen in our office. All of the cases that warrant investigation are things that are preventable: overdoses, suicides, things like that. And so when you have a community that has really been intimately touched by such tragedy, with the ICE agents being here, just looking for, things like suicide completions and homicides and overdoses all very much have, root causes in people's instability or inability to access resources at home. And so these don't necessarily have an immediate cause and effect, meaning that I'm not necessarily going to see numbers go up tomorrow, but we might start seeing some trends that are concerning. It is a little strange right now. We're actually seeing, oh boy, sorry.
Yeah.
He wants to be interviewed too.
That's good.
We are seeing a significant decrease in overdoses, opioid overdoses, which is a little interesting. And I wouldn't, of course, it's good. This is really, really good news. But as I said, these things don't have an immediate cause and effect, relationship. So I think that there's a good possibility that we might see an increase in some of those preventable deaths as we move forward.
Well, that's not good. Like building or renovation projects, that would be a point of concern too. Like, because steel, lumber, tools, nails, screws. I mean, some of these things are directly affected by tariffs, especially lumber and steel. You hear about that a lot with the whole thing on Canada and so on. So yeah, that's something that like even local offices might have to look out for. If you're building a new building or renovating a building or something like that, that might have an effect. And then of course we have the residents of Lake County have to pay for it. I guess I'm assuming, unless there's a rainy day fund or something. So that's definitely a possibility too. So okay, well, thanks for sharing all that. Sorry, Anthony, or Esiah, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to clear up the fact. So if it's a county project that we're paying for, then yes, the burden would be on the taxpayer and they would eat that extra cost. But majority of, I also want to make a distinction between like developers coming to Lake County and businesses coming to Lake County. It's the taxpayer is not going to foot that bill, but we are going to see a lower amount of developers coming. I just wanted to put that point because you worded it in such a way.
I got you. No. Thank you for clarifying. Absolutely. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Well, that's very interesting. Okay. So let's talk more about Lake County. What's going on in Lake County that's pressing and people want to know? Anthony, let's start with you. Anything going on with the clerk's office that people should know about, especially with like elections coming up next year?
Look, we have a primary March 17th, 2026. We have the general election in November, I believe it's November 3rd of 2026 of next year. One of the things that we went live with during the April election this year was any voter can vote anywhere. So in 2026, you'll have a lot more voters. We usually have 17% turnout for the consolidated April election, and for a primary, we're probably going to have over that. For a gubernatorial election, we have about 50% turnout. So a lot more people are going to be gravitating towards their neighborhood polling site. But just remind everyone, hey, you can vote anywhere as long as you're a registered voter in Lake County and voting in Lake County. If you live in Round Lake Beach, but you work in Wakanda, you can vote in Wakanda during your lunch hour if that's convenient to you. The board approved the budget today for the next fiscal year, which is a big, significant accomplishment. It took many months, and then we had multiple days of hearings. One of the things that that the board approved for me was $2.5 million to upgrade our voter tabulation equipment, which will increase accessibility for our disabled voters, but it also adds more security safeguards to our voting tabulation equipment. And so the board has been very supportive of election upgrades that increase accessibility to the ballot, that modernizes and secures our elections. And so very thankful for their continued partnership on that end. And that is the quick 30-second version of what's happening in our office for next year. But we're gearing up. December 17th is the first day to request a vote by mail ballot for the primary election.
Very cool. Thank you so much. Real quick, before I ask the other two of you about your respective offices, with the 8 billion executive orders that Trump signed, I think there was at least one or two concerning voting, I think.
Yeah.
What in your experience as an elected official, is there any direct connection or causal link between an executive order and your day-to-day as an elected official? Because a lot of people think that they're just executive orders are definitely not laws. They're not laws.
Right.
Okay. I don't know if okay, so then what are they? Do people have, like, he banned, like, trans men or females from, being in sports nationally? Did that actually happen? Did everybody that had a trans athlete, like, sorry, you're out because he signed an order? I don't think that happened. Does that make sense? Like, what kind of force do these have?
So typically an executive order is giving policy direction to the department.
Direction.
The departments that directly answer to that office. I don't answer to the president of the United States. There's some of his orders, executive orders pertaining to elections, would have to really, those fall under the purview of Congress and the states. The one thing that we are looking forward to, in a good way or a bad way, depending on the ruling, is there's 2 pending court cases before the Supreme Court regarding vote by mail. And when, how many ballots, when can the vote by mail ballots be counted specifically? So we expect a decision in June, July of 2026, which is not great timing when the general election is months away. But I want to believe that the Supreme Court will do their job and give deference to how each state conducts their elections, because that is codified. One of the greatest gifts that our founders gave us is the time, manner, and place of elections is determined by Congress and the states. Actually, the states, and then if Congress needs to regulate something, that's how they do it. And so, I mean, it's pretty clear. Right. And so we will be looking and monitoring those developments. And then obviously, if it has an adverse impact to Illinois, and one of the lawsuits stems from Congressman Bost and his assertion that ballots should only be counted on election day, therefore eliminating late arriving vote by mail ballots. That is something that we're concerned about, because that would disenfranchise people, especially when the Postal Service and the quality of service is being undermined by the Postmaster General. Right. And so there's a lot more delays now than there were 4 years ago or even 2 years ago, and so that would disenfranchise people from being able to cast their ballot. All
right. Esiah, how about you? Have you guys, as a county trustee, board member, have you seen anything like, concerning the direct, indirect, or like, the threat of an executive order on your constituents or anything like that? And I don't know what exactly that would be. Any chatter about anybody concerned about some of the elected or the executive orders?
Yeah, so I think very taking the power away from Congress and taking the power of the purse away from Congress and holding up funds that were already allocated for projects that directly could affect us. And they're grants that were already granted, are we still going to get it? Can these projects move forward? Yeah. So when Trump first got into office, I mean, this is exactly what we were talking about in closed offline and online on the board. Like, this is a very big concern of ours, that this is what could happen. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, some of these executive orders have affected us.
Okay, gotcha. Jennifer, what about you? Do you have any sort of like kind of leaning or is the federal government any sort at all in any amount a resource for county coroners? I don't even know. Is there any like it goes to the state first and maybe trickles down to you guys or something like that? Or
No, I will say one of the, there was recently there was a case that came through our office, and there were allegations against a person that was involved in the death, and the person was undocumented, and the Department of Homeland Security completely, I'm just going to say, bastardized the actual story and had it posted on the Department of Homeland Security's, the federal webpage. So nothing in terms of executive orders, but we reached out to them and asked for the record to be corrected. It was just a very unfair representation of what happened.
Well, we're seeing an awful lot of that on the federal level. Like it's just lie after lie. Christy Nome, the dog killer, she said that no, we're not arresting any American citizens. That's ridiculous. That's false. That's fake news. Blah blah blah. So recently, within the last couple of days, I heard is that out of like 600 plus people that were arrested by ICE in Chicago, 16 of them had warrants out of over 600. And she's like saying, no, that's not happening. Like I'm not stupid. I can see what's happening. It's just so audacious how just brazenly, unashamedly they lie. Nope, not happening. Yes, it is. And I can show you thousands of examples of it. Okay, like it's just ridiculous. I expect some politicians on the federal level to lie because that seems to be what happens. But this is just outrageous. From Caroline Leavitt daily at a little press podium to Christy Nome to Hegseth. I mean, they're just Cash Patel. Jesus Christ. With his bajillion-dollar plane trip to a hockey game or whatever it was. It's just, well, that's not fair. You can't say that about me and my girlfriend. She's a great artist or actress or whatever she is, musician. And, it's just outlandish. It's such an embarrassing time to be in this country. But anyway, okay. So, all right, cool. Any updates, Jen, on your for your office?
So just a couple of interesting things. Lake County is part of one of the very first state domestic violence fatality review board. And so the idea is to take 2 cases every year. And there's just an amazing, talented cross-section of folks from Lake County who do like a postmortem on that case and really dissect it to look at what we're doing well and where the gaps are. And then the idea would be that there could be policy or potentially even legislative changes implemented as a result of that. So we are currently reviewing our second case. So, that's really exciting to be a part of that. And then we are just initiating an overdose fatality review board, which will do something similar. So we'll be having our first meeting for that in December. And then if I can just announce on December 3rd at 7:00 at the Eleanor Murky Conference Center at the CLC Waukegan campus from 7 to 8:30, we are going to have a town hall, just kind of a status update on Vista Medical Center. So folks are certainly invited to come to that and listen to a panel of
what day of the week is that?
That's a Wednesday.
Well, I might be able to make it. Okay.
Yeah. So those are some of the highlights.
Those are big ones. Those are huge.
Yeah.
Just like on a, I hate to put it this way, like on a scale of 1 to 10 compared to like other counties in the country, like what's the sort of the rate of overdose rate in Lake County? Like, is it pretty bad or is it getting better?
Oh, it's definitely getting better. I would say there were national reports saying that it was decreasing. Although I think it's really important to continue to remember that if we are looking at a per capita rates, the numbers are still very high in Black and Brown folks. So it's important that we continue to make sure our resources are directed appropriately. So
yeah, for sure, absolutely. I want to ask a question. I guess it's kind of off most of these topics, but I'm curious. I was thinking about this the other day, and it tied back into the ICE thing. It was just because of like some of the like the Chicago gangs were like saying like, you know, for other gang members who get $50,000 if you go stop an ICE agent or something weird like that. One guy got arrested. Does Lake County have a big gang problem? Can anybody could you speak to that if you know or don't know? Or not if you
Well,
know.
I guess what I will say, I think it's really important to put it into context. And I'm going to characterize it as homicide. So I'm not specifically speaking to
Okay.
gangs.
Gotcha.
But our overdose rate is far higher, like somewhere between 3 and 4 times higher than our homicides. Homicides just have a very sexy or salacious, like, right there, it's interesting news. I guess I just think that it's very important that we keep it in context and perspective, that and once again, so that we're directing our attention in the right places. I don't know that I can feel that I know enough about the numbers to speak specifically about the gang numbers, but I feel quite confident. I can tell you for sure, if you haven't already attended one of the state's attorney's gun violence prevention town halls, I know there's one coming up, I believe it's on Thursday in Lake Zurich, but I know for sure that our homicides are actually going down in Lake County. That's so not specific to gangs, but
I get you. Yeah. Homicide by anybody is a bad thing. So yeah, okay. Gang member or not. Esiah, how about you guys?
So it's going to be uneventful from now until January for the county board. We did just pass our budget. We, months-long process through committee and then budget hearings between the county board and the Forest Preserve. We'll continue to implement that budget. Now, the Patrice Sutton, the administrator, our previous budgets were passed a AAA rating from Moody's. When we submit that budget, more than likely we'll get another AAA rating. And that's good for the county residents to understand that our books are managed and every cent is accounted for. There is not one penny that is not accounted for. So that's good. That's good for the county. We're doing our job on the county board. But like I said, it's going to be uneventful from now until January. Another big thing for the county is that the ROC is live, and the transition for the call center had switched, and we did it overnight while people were sleeping, and there was such a smooth transition. I think Adam Schlick, our only first responder on the county board, did comment on there today that as a first responder, how smooth that transition was, and that in his line of work that he's been through a few call center transitions, and that this one was by far the smoothest. Now, is he biased because he's also a county board member? I don't know. That's out to be seen, but I take him at his word.
He's my guy. What does he do as a first? Is he a police officer? Is he a firefighter or an EMT? I mean,
firefighter.
He's a firefighter.
He's a firefighter. But more on the county board. Majority is up for election this year, so we'll see an entirely new board. We'll see an entirely new chairman come November. So a lot of exciting stuff happening on the county board in the political aspect, but not so much as the governing aspect.
How many seats are, if that's what you call them, are up for election?
Right off the top of my head, I believe it's 8. Anthony, if you can, I believe it's around 8 or 9.
Sounds about right. Yes. Yes.
No, that's the majority. How many are on the board? 12, 13?
19.
19.
Oh, I wasn't even close. Okay, so that's considerable. It's almost half. Yeah. Wow. Okay. And you're running, Esiah. Is Adam Schlick running?
Running for re-election? Absolutely. Adam Schlick is not running. He ran in 24. So
24. Does he have a 4-year or 6-year term?
I have no idea.
Okay.
We're stacked from 4-2-4, 2-4-4, 4-4-2.
Yeah. It's very interesting system you got there. And Jen, you ran last election, right? So you're good for a few years, right?
I am, but I am running for state central committee person.
Okay, go ahead.
Folks will see me on the ballot in March 17th if you pull a Democratic primary ballot. people are probably wondering what the heck is a state central committee person. So there are 17 U.S. congressional districts in Illinois. So there are 2 state central committee people in each congressional district. And it's really what we would call like a party position. And so you are part of the board of directors for the Democratic Party of Illinois.
Wow.
So what does that mean? Well, it's about messaging, it's about recruiting, it's about raising money for folks up and down the ballot, really. And there are, we already have a county chair of the Democratic Party. We have precinct committee people. We have township chairs. But it takes a lot of folks to it takes a lot of folks to recruit leaders and keep Lake County blue. So I will be the 3rd person on the ballot. So just a couple interesting facts. Out of the 34 people that are there, I am the only veteran that's running. Lake County is home to the 2nd largest population of veterans. I think it's really important that we have that voice on State Central Committee. Also, of course, as Member Campos mentioned, we're home to Great Lakes Naval Base. I am a veteran. My husband's got over 20 years of experience, and actually 2 of my 4 children are serving. So strong
military family there. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So that's my spiel, my stump speech.
Okay, that's cool. That's very cool. I want to ask you a little bit more about that. But Esiah, you were in the Navy, right? You served?
I was, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you both and all for your service. That's fantastic. I was, when I got out of high school, I was directionless, and I went the whole MEPS thing. I was 1 pound over their weight, and I said come back in a week, and then in that week's time I changed my mind, which is probably better for the military because I have some issues with authority and people yelling in my face. So I don't think I would have lasted long, but no, that's very cool. And so this is all the primary, which is what again, March something?
March 17th, 2020.
March 17th.
Yep.
St. Patrick's Day.
Okay. That's cool. And so it's again, like just your local election place, that kind of thing. You go there and just like what in a general election, except for
Yeah. Yeah, and remember, voters for in the primary choose the type of ballot that they want. They can either choose a Democratic ballot to choose a Democratic nominee that will go onto November, or a Republican ballot. Some areas may only have a public question, and some people don't want to choose a party, so they'll choose a nonpartisan ballot. But you won't have any people on there because we have a primary system in Illinois for March, and so then they'll choose a nominee, and that will go on onto November and duel it out.
So, like the Illinois Libertarian Party or the Green Party, they're not on any ballots because they're too small.
They're not an established party, so it's only
the
Democratic Party. Now you could. There's a mechanism for other parties to petition after the primary to be on the general ballot, but for the March, it's usually the major political parties, that being the Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
Okay, we'll talk about that another time. I think it's really unfair that third parties can't get on ballots, but okay. That is not how democracy is supposed to work. But anyway.
How about ranked choice voting, David?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. That's like the third party's motto. Like both Libertarian and Green Party are like, please, for the love of God, ranked choice voting. What is wrong with you people?
I think there's actually a lot of bipartisan support across many spectrums for ranked choice voting.
Come on, Anthony, make it happen.
I was on the task force for ranked choice voting for the state, and I will say is the task force has yet to release its final reports.
Reports on what?
To study the implementation of ranked choice voting in Illinois.
Well, what's the study? Okay, whatever.
Sounds like it's top secret information for right now.
There's no top secret information. It's all rigged. But I was a part of both Libertarian Party and the Green Party for a long time. I think most of you know that. I actually won the Illinois State primary for the Libertarian Party for District 10 against Brad. Obviously, I didn't win. But I get to put that on my resume, which looks kind of cool. But I left both of them because it just the inner workings of them got a little weird. So I'm registered the last time I voted, I registered as a Democrat. I've literally voted for one Republican one time in my life. And Jen, that was your predecessor. Howard Cooper, was that his name? Howard? I remember Cooper was the last name. That's because I didn't consider party affiliation relevant to that office. And then I met Jennifer when I interviewed her, brought that up. She's like, no, it is. She explained to me why. And I'll forgo the details of it for now. But she made good points. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you know. And it turns out Jennifer and I actually went to high school together, and we grew up like 3 blocks away from each other and never knew each other. Very interesting. So I voted for you last time, Jen.
Awesome.
So that's very cool. Okay, we're almost at an hour here. Is there anything you guys want to like kind of plug about your respective positions here, or anything like local, or even like one more final comment about what's his face at the federal level?
No, I think we'll let we'll let the national politicians deal with that one. But no, as far as going forward, if I could do just a little PSA, not about the election or anything like that, or just it's coming to the holiday season. If you know all of your listeners, watchers, if you could donate to the food pantries, if you can reach out to your local nonprofits, donate some time. There are so many people in need right now for all myriads of reasons, whether it be because of the federal government, just because circumstances, whichever. Donate to the food pantry. Every dollar you give to a food pantry is $8 worth of food that can be given to a family. Donate some toys when you go and shop when you go for Black Friday and you see that great deal. Well, get a second one maybe, and then donate that to a toy drive. Everybody, we need to start doing our part. It's more about the humanitarian crisis that we start to see here. We may be a first world country, but you know, we're starting to see a lot more nonprofits shouldering the weight to keep the system afloat, and so we all need to do our part.
Absolutely. So on that, I want to just say something real quick. I have what I posted as David's charity truck. Not this past summer, the one before that, I was able to collect around 300 books for children. And again, so I'll say this to you here. Anything you want to donate that you don't like, even if you just don't feel like taking it to a center, DM me and I will come pick it up and I'll bring it for Toys for Tots, food pantries, book collections, whatever it is you want. I will come get it. David's charity truck is on the road. So just DM me, David Rich, RYCH. Okay. Anthony, how about you?
Look, what I will say is get out and vote. I mean, look, but you know, I know elections matter. And what we saw during the November 2024 election is a lot of different areas across the country saw lower turnout. In Illinois alone, in our regional area, we did see a dip in turnout. Lake County maintained its 70%. So we were steady, but elections have consequences. Imagine if we had similar level of turnout or even higher turnout. I don't think we would necessarily be speaking here about the application of the federal government and its responsibility to adhere to the rule of law, right? I mean, we wouldn't be here. So elections have consequences. Come out and vote. Bring a friend to vote. And March 17th and then November 2026. All
right, sounds good. Jennifer?
I would just reiterate actually what Anthony says. You can look at my webpage, banekforillinois.com. I'm also on social media. Feel free to reach out to me personally. I'm happy to talk to anybody about State Central Committee and my race and why I'm interested in it. And of course, if anybody has questions about the coroner's office, hit me up.
Sounds good.
Okay, since they both plugged their for the election, vote Campos 2026.
Okay, of course. Real quick. Let's start with Esiah. Esiah, are you happy or sad that Mamdani won the election in New York City?
You know, I'm thrilled to see what freaking happens.
So you're excited to see.
I'm trying to contain my excitement. I think it's a great thing for New York. I think labels aside, you know, whichever mud you want to sling, whichever it is, I think people are tired of the politics of old. I think people want to see bold leadership, straight from the all walks, or all up and down the ballot. They want to see people take a stand. They want to see people with strong convictions, regardless of label. I think it's going to be very fun to see how these policies are implemented. I think if they work in New York, why can't it work elsewhere? And we'll look at it. We'll see why does it work? Can it work in our area? Such as free transportation, more affordable housing. Like these are the things that we want. Okay, great. How do we get there? Is there a better way of getting there? And this is the reason why we live in such a great country. There's little clusters of experiments happening all over the place with all the governments, whether it be the state or local governments. There's all these experiments happening, and that's what makes America so great.
I agree. It's political, social, political, and economic diversity. Jennifer, are you saying you got to go? You gave a thumbs up. You're happy that he won?
I'm happy he won. Let's bring it. I agree with Esiah. Like we need some fresh ideas and fresh faces.
Yeah, and everybody, nobody seems to understand what a democratic socialist is. A democratic socialism is not full-blown Marxist communism. It's not like only the means of production. It's not a stateless, moneyless, classless society, which is the definition of a communist society. Okay, it's not that. It's just
I will say, I don't know if you've seen this TikTok, but I unhealthily walk around the house, and sometimes I'll be like, my name is Mom Donnie. That TikTok plays over and over and over in my head.
That's awesome. Okay, Jen, we'll go ahead, and I'm just going to ask Anthony what he thinks real quick. Bye. Jen, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
See you, Jen. Look, I am ecstatic that he won. I think quite frankly, we can talk for about 2 hours about that whole race and the debates that they had between the three candidates.
So good.
It is great that he won. It's great. I'm happy about all the other wins across the country. And what I will say is this. I think people try to put the Democratic Party like, are you progressive or are you moderate? It's not one or the other. And I think what we saw is a different messaging. It works depending on the people that live there. Mamdami's message works for New York. It was such a New York campaign. It was the marketing. I mean, the TikTok video. I mean, look, they have Esiah on the hook even around Lake Beach. I mean, it worked. You also have on the other side, right, your centrist Democrats that won overwhelmingly because the messaging worked. If we just stick to the messaging of we're the party of working people, we want to reduce it's about affordability. It's about making government work for people, being compassionate. It's a winning message, and we will continue to ride the wave until 2026 and 2028.
That's very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's like Esiah. Like I'm with you. Like I'm waiting to see how it goes. I think he's probably going to get because he still has to answer to like the state Congress and everything like that. He can't just do whatever he wants. Literally. Like he can do a lot of things. Don't get me wrong. And he still has like a city board he has to contend with. They can shut him down. Stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm waiting to see how smoothly or not it goes for him. I really liked him as a person, or like him as a person. He's smart. He's charismatic. He's a wonderful speaker and orator. He always says the right thing. Almost always says the right thing. He just has a quick, good answer for any single question. He was a great candidate, and it was extremely encouraging to see that he won. If for no other reason, because he just sort of came out of nowhere and he was an underdog in the beginning. Like, who the hell is this guy? And he took it. Andrew Cuomo is a pig, and I don't know why he even tried to bother again. That was ridiculous. The Sliwa guy, nobody's going to vote for a dude who wears a red beret. Not going to happen. Sorry. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. And yeah, the rest of that election, like across the other states, wowzers, man, massive blue. It was a blue tidal wave. It wasn't even like a little wave for a surfer. Like this thing was a tsunami. So like I said, if the gerrymandering doesn't go through in these other states, we'll see what happens next year.
Well, let me push back a little bit. The Republicans are gerrymandering. The Democrats, right. But the Democrats are passing. We're passing voter referendums with the consent of the voters. The Republican Party is doing it the complete opposite. They are listening to the billionaire class, and they are trying to
ignoring everybody.
Take hold of the government. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you're right. Gerrymandering is actually a pejorative. Right? It's not a positive. I should have said that. I said redistricting is positive. Gerrymandering bad. Okay, all the time. So okay. Well, thanks, guys, so much for coming on. Esiah Campos, Lake County Board, and Anthony Vega, Lake County Clerk. Thank you so much. Always love talking to you guys. It's always so informative. And, you know, again, when I first started my first radio show about 8 years ago, it was mostly about getting like local political information and the officials, their word out to the local community. So hopefully that's working. Hopefully more people are watching the show. I appreciate you guys coming on every single time. Thank you so much. And let's stay in touch and have you back on again sometime. Cool.
All right. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
You as well. Take care.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
All right, guys.